Hello everyone, lovers of pixels and retro explosions. Today we dive into the glorious world of the Atari 2600, where simple, perhaps too simple, games tried to entertain us for hours. Let's see together titles ranging from brilliant to, well, at least they tried. Ready? Let's go! Breakout is the game that proved that even a bouncing white square can keep you glued to the screen for hours. The premise is simple. A spaceship? No. A superhero? Nope. You are a small bar at the bottom of the screen and you have to bounce a ball off a colored brick wall. End. But here's the magic. There's something satisfying about seeing those bricks disappear one by one. Breakout is a test of reflexes and precision, requiring almost zen-like concentration. The sound of the ball hitting a brick is like the jingle of victory, at least until you lose it miserably. Super basic graphics, and by super basic I mean one more pixel and they should have used another chip. After playing for a while, it seems like your brain goes into autopilot mode, and you find yourself wondering, am I actually having fun or am I just trying to break a pointless record?
The Wild West, reduced to 2-pixel cowboys shooting each other through cacti. In Outlaw, you step into the shoes of a cowboy who appears to be made of 12 pixels, but don't let the looks fool you. These cowboys have sniper-like precision, even if they appear to be shooting a cannon rather than a pistol. The goal? Hit your opponent before he hits you, of course. But there's an obstacle. Giant cacti that randomly pop up among you, because in Atari's Digital West, nature is the real enemy. Direct gameplay, you shoot yourself, you rest for a moment and then you shoot yourself again. Simple and immediate. The introduction of the cactus obstacle is a nice touch that adds strategy. Who said nature is just a backdrop? The physics of the game are a bit, how shall I put it, bizarre. Sometimes you shoot and think, did that shot go to Mars? After a few minutes, it can get repetitive. Perhaps this is precisely where Atari wanted to teach us the art of patience.
Here's the first superhero in video games, but don't expect to fly between buildings with amazing graphics. Superman for the Atari 2600 is an interesting experience. You're Superman, sure, but forget about epic battles against world-destroying villains. Here you're mostly busy flying through screens, catching criminals, and rebuilding a bridge? Yes, guys, Superman is also a civil engineer in his spare time. It is one of the first attempts to bring a superhero to the screen. So yes, we can thank this game for paving the way for Batman, Arkham and Co. The idea of having to find parts of the bridge and capture Lex Luthor is unexpectedly compelling. It almost looks like a puzzle, very pixelated. The controls can be frustrating. Superman is supposed to be a symbol of power, but here he seems a little limping. The graphics make Metropolis look like an endless expanse of square blocks and criminals that look like they came out of an IKEA furniture catalog.
If you've ever dreamed of jumping out of a free-falling plane and opening your parachute at the last second, skydiver might be your worst nightmare. The concept is simple. You have to calculate the exact time to open the parachute and land in the right place. Making a mistake means crashing to the ground like a pixelated pancake. The gameplay requires perfect coordination and timing. The tension rises as the speed increases. The graphics make your skydivers look more like flying boxes. You wonder how long the fun can last before you crash with patience.
In Canyon Bomber, you are a bomber flying over a canyon full of blocks. Your task? Destroy them all with bombs. There are no cities to save or villains to defeat, just a bunch of blocks begging to be destroyed. Destroying blocks is strangely satisfying. It's one of those games you can play while you're lost in thought, or wondering why you're still playing. Zero variety. After bombing a canyon, you already know everything that awaits you, Minimalist graphics that make the canyon less epic, and more, a bunch of gray squares.
In Human Cannonball, the title says it all. You are a human ball fired from a cannon. Your goal? Hitting a target at the right angle. But be careful, because if you miss just a little, you will find yourself flying over the target or, worse, crashing disastrously. The game teaches you that life is about angles. The concept of calculating the launch trajectory is surprisingly fun. After the first 5 launches, you start to wonder if the evolution of man has really reached this point. Little variety, you shoot, you make mistakes, you repeat.
Boxing puts you in the gloves of a boxer in a fight to the last punch, in 2D. 2 square figures face each other, trying to hit each other with pixels. No special moves, just pure and simple boxing. It was the first attempt at a boxing video game, so respect for the effort. Fast and intense combat, ideal for short sessions. The movement is stiff, and the boxers look more like animated boxes than real athletes. After a while, all the rounds start to feel like the same match. Spoiler, they are.
Challenge. A game where you challenge the computer or a friend to a series of mini-games. But don't expect breathtaking graphics or complex challenges. We're in the world of the Atari 2600, so everything is super minimal. Variety of games, although very simple. Ideal for challenging a friend when you want to test your reflexes. The mini-games don't offer much depth, they're more of short distractions. It's unclear why it's called challenge, when actual skill challenges are scarce.
Checkers, the classic game of checkers, brought to the screen in all its pixelated glory. If you love strategy and logic, you will find something for you here. Sure, the AI isn't exactly Kasparov, but it's a good start. If you love checkers, this is exactly what you expect. A strategy challenge that will push your brains out. The graphics are rather sparse, even by Atari standards. The AI can be predictable after a few games.
Dodge am a racing game where the only objective is to avoid, and sometimes crash into, opposing cars. It's a simplified version of classic arcade driving games, with the twist that you have to dodge everything. Frantic and quick, requires quick reflexes. Fun when played against a friend. But repetitive, and incidents become frustrating after a while. Graphics and sounds leave something to be desired.
Maze Crazy Maze, where you have to find the exit before your opponent. Does it sound easy? Not really, because each map is a real tangle of corridors and dead ends. Reflexes and orientation challenge. The 2-player mode can be fun and competitive. It can get boring if played for too long. The labyrinths all look a little alike, limiting the variety.
If you've ever wanted to drive at night in the middle of nowhere, Night Driver is the game for you. The only problem is that the graphics are so basic that it feels like you're driving between white lines on a black background. Retro charm, they say. The idea of simulating night driving was innovative at the time. The gameplay is fast and adrenaline-filled, more or less. The graphics are so minimal that you wonder if you're actually driving or just dodging pixels. Lack of variation in the route.
In Wizard, you are a wizard who must navigate rooms full of enemies and traps. It is an adventure game where strategy and reflexes are essential to survival. It was one of the first attempts to create a fantasy adventure game on consoles with lots of action and variety in enemies. The graphics are so rudimentary that the wizard might as well be a square with a hat. The gameplay can become repetitive.
Remember when video games were so simple that you could understand them without reading the instructions? Well, Space Invaders for Atari 2600 is truly the granddaddy of all video games. A game so essential you'll wonder how they've kept us entertained for so long. You may be wondering, why play it? A horde of green dots descending inexorably towards you, like ants towards cotton candy, isn't that enough for you? For heart-stopping graphics? The pixels are so big that you can count them one by one. But don't worry, the retro effect is guaranteed. A soundtrack that will make you want to move house, a monotonous beat that will accompany you throughout the game. Perfect for relaxing, right? And then, do you want to get calluses on your thumbs? The controls are so harsh you'll feel like you're arm wrestling with a gorilla. Space Invaders for Atari 2600 is a unique experience, but not in a good sense of the word. It's a game that will make you appreciate modern video games even more.
In Circus Atari, you control a platform on which two acrobats bounce, trying to destroy colored blocks similar to those in Breakout. It's like Pong meets Circus. A fun mix of reflections and destruction. Perfect for short, intense sessions. Controlling the platform can become frustrating. The concept wears out quickly.
Adventure, the game that inspired an entire generation of adventure titles. In Adventure, you have to explore mazes, solve puzzles, and defeat dragons, which look more like ducks, but okay. It was one of the first adventure games. Innovative and pioneering. Lots of puzzles to solve and objects to find. Extremely basic graphics, but it's understandable given the time period. Movements a little stiff.
Who said fishing is boring? In Fishing Derby, you have to catch the biggest fish while avoiding sharks. Yes, because obviously there is a shark swimming among your hooks. Let yourself be captivated by a relaxing but strategic gameplay. Fun two-player mode, yes, believe it. It's not exactly the pinnacle of adrenaline, maybe it's better to actually go fishing.
In skiing, you're a skier hurtling down an endless mountain desperately trying to avoid trees and flags, which have apparently been placed by someone with an obvious disregard for safety. The game is essentially a race against your patience. It's fast and frenetic, but only because everything is so damn fast that you don't have time to understand what's happening. The gameplay is fluid, yes, but in a sense that you keep sliding towards monotony without realizing it. The graphics? Oh, the trees look more like ink blots, probably drawn during a coffee break. Repetitive? After the third descent you wonder if the secret goal of the game is to make you fall asleep in front of the TV.
Now, this was the best and worst of the Atari 2600. Despite their limitations, these games laid the foundation for everything we love in the world of video games today. So, a little respect for these old pioneers, even if they were sometimes a headache.